Welcome back to Viewmasters. Every time you think they're done for good, they just come back. Rusty, how's it going?
Not great, not great. Let's just say I'm down a tooth and I'm down an oil tank.
He's coming out hard, coming out of his corner swinging.
My oil tank is leaking. Jen and I have noticed a strong gas smell in the house.
That's me living in the walls.
Not that kind of gas. We had a technician come by to take a look at it. Gets into the basement, opens the door where the oil tank is, and immediately like, "Yep, you need a new tank." And he's just like, he says to me, he goes, "Let me ask you something. Are you handy?" I'm thinking like, is he asking me to like if I could do this job myself?
No, he's asking you to jerk him off.
So I must have been really rude when I said no.
Anyway, go on.
But anyway, so as he's leaving, you know what my basement's like. I got all my collectibles down there.
It's one of the finest toy museums I've been to, and that's not a joke. It's like in glass cases, like laid out like a museum.
Well, it's absorbing a lot of gas smell, so I'm going to have a hard time reselling this when I need the money down the line. But anyway, so as he's leaving, he's just like, "Whoa, this is quite a collection you have there." And I don't know, there's a part of me that still wants to come off cool. So I'm just like, and I said the least cool thing. I'm just like, well, yeah, I have a daughter that's 3. I let her play with the stuff.
Your daughter loves the mask toys that are mint in box.
So he says to me, he goes, "Who are you trying to kid, man? You got stuff behind the glass case." And it was like, you got me. You got me.
What happened with the tooth? That's what I really got to know.
Well, let's just say I got into a fist fight with a kangaroo. Speaking of kangaroos, though, I heard you.
What the fuck?
I heard you just got back from Australia. We haven't talked in a while.
Did you write a script? This is amazing.
I thought of it before.
I love what a segue.
Yeah.
Yes, I got back from Australia a couple days ago. I had a great time there.
I just want to know, where can we find Lee Gambon's body?
Okay. I every day I was like, I got to email Lee. I'm going to hang out with Lee one day. I'm going to go to the store where I'm pretty sure he works. And the days just slipped away from me.
I feel like Lee would hate me because I would just bring books for him to read to me because I love his accent.
He has a screening series, I believe, called Cinemaniacs. And well, I mean, I know he did in the past. I'm pretty sure he's still doing it.
Give him a plug.
But I just missed one of their events by like a day. So
that would have been great.
I could have been there. Giving Lee a little Sirhan.
Did not expect you to say that. Anyways, I have to ask you about you going to Australia because you were there for a lengthy bit of time.
Yeah.
So when you're there for that long, are you doing all like the tourist trap stuff, or are you just, browsing Reddit all day?
There were a couple days. Let me say this. It was raining, and I think for a 2-day stretch, all I did was look at Reddit. And then I became overwhelmed with self-loathing. And as Megan was working, I was like, I'm just going to book a ton of restaurant reservations. This became known as the Michelin Star Death March because it was grueling. Every single day I was like, I can't believe we have to go to another fancy restaurant. Because some days you just want to do nothing. There was one place we went to, this one restaurant called, I think it's pronounced Freya, and it was fucking amazing. It was Australian food with a Nordic influence, and we got like the tasting menu, and unlike that place Attica, it was all just, everything was really good. And man, me and Megan were in the greatest mood as we were walking back to our house, which was a really cool house in Fitzroy, which is like one of the cool areas of town. And I was just like, man, I feel very content. Can't wait to get inside, take a shower. It was like 10 p.m. It's pretty cold out also. We get to the door. I try to open the digital lock. It doesn't open. I try again. It doesn't open. And just from the first few times, I was like, oh, we're not getting this door open. It's so clear.
Yeah.
And the door had been having a low battery warning, like when we lock it. But I tried to check the batteries and I couldn't open it without a screwdriver. So it was one of those things where I was like, I'm just going to let this, like, kick this down the road to the next person. Surely it won't fail us, you know. And I messaged the Airbnb guy who had been previously very responsive. And I'm like, hey, we're locked out. Didn't you say there was a manual key box that I could see right there? And he had almost given me the code for it, but he was like, oh, you won't need it. And
Oh.
I was like, I need the code for the manual key box. No reply. I text him. No reply. And it's getting cold out. Let me just say that. And also, I should have told you to set this up that Megan was paranoid, not paranoid, but she thought she had caused a stain on the couch. It was my belief that she hadn't caused this stain because if I thought she had, I would have been completely paranoid about it, and it would have been all I thought about the entire trip. So my weird sense of calm about it told me that it was actually not her fault. But anyway, so I messaged the guy on Airbnb. I call, his partner. I had his number as well, and then my phone dies, and I'm like, fuck. Megan's phone, which is an old phone. I tried to buy her a new one. She wouldn't let me. She's like, it's okay. I have 70%. And then she's like, I'll open Airbnb and I'll call Airbnb support. And like, as she's doing that, she's like, okay, my battery just dropped down to 12%. And I was like, oh my God. She calls Airbnb support, which is a complete nightmare.
Yeah.
It's us absolutely nowhere. And then her phone dies. And
that's it. This is how it ends for you too.
We were just standing there and I like had given up completely. I just wanted to get to a hotel, take a shower and go to sleep and then figure out the next day. Even though I was dreading the walk because I was pretty tired and it was cold, I was dreading the walk back into like the CBD to find a hotel. And I always hate going to a hotel late at night and having no luggage and looking fucking insane. And Megan was like, let's just, maybe they're going to show up. Maybe they're going to show up. I was like, they're not going to show up, but we wait a little longer. It's getting to the point of being unbearably cold. I was like, there was a Ring camera there. So I was performing a play for the Ring camera basically this entire time where I was like, they fucked us. It was a single point of failure. They could have given the code for the manual key box that should always be provided. And Megan's like, don't be too mean. Like there's still like the stain on the couch. I was like, don't mention that in front of the camera. And that wasn't you anyway. And
what was the stain? What did it look like?
It was just like a small black kind of faded looking stain.
Oh, that could have been anything.
But then the neighbors come walking up and we're like, oh my God, do you know them? And they were like, oh, you can try to climb our back fence if you left that back door open. And I knew that I had left that back door open. So we follow them into their house. They're like, oh, sorry, our house is not as like remodeled like theirs. Like, it's still the old style. And I was like, I could not care less about anything right now. I'm seeing my freedom right in front of me. And we get into the backyard. The Australian guy, first of all, I looked at this fence and it's like kind of high. And he's like, okay, we could try to put a chair here or like a table. You get up on the table. And I was like, I'm going to fucking land on my spine. And I think the guy sensed my apprehension because he just leapt over the fence effortlessly, made his way through the house. We went up to the front and we got inside the house. And it was such a thrill to get in that I said to Megan, should we just get married? And then now we're engaged.
Really?
Yep.
Oh my goodness.
It was such
news to me.
I know. It was such a thrill.
Wow. And you're saying this to our listeners.
This is a world premiere. World premiere. They may have said, why is that story getting a little tedious? Well, that's why.
Wow. Congratulations. Look at this guy.
Thank you.
They said he would never do it. I'm shocked right now. This was not planned. I had no idea.
This was not planned.
Wow. I was going to ask more about this Australian couple, but now it's taking a different turn. I guess Megan was shocked, right? Or did she have her suspicions?
Well, I noticed that she was looking at rings every once in a while. I glanced over at her laptop.
That whole thing, yeah.
Ever since Megan moved in like 2 months ago, ever since then, it felt pretty obvious.
Now, did you get down on one knee? You don't seem like the type that would get down on one knee.
I told her I never would do that.
And did you?
She did.
Wow. I'm like sweating right now. I don't know why.
I know.
Is it? Woo, woo-wee.
She
People,
did say, like, I was like, fuck it. Should we just get married? And then she was like, okay, but now you do it, but you ask like normally. And I was like, I will ask normally. She's like, and can you get on one knee? I was like, I will not get on one knee. And I was like, it's not even about like, I won't do that. It's more about my balance. I get down on one knee, I'm going to be a turtle.
you ever fall over? It's like, that's crazy. I don't know what to say.
But I have to tell you my punchline of this story.
Oh yeah.
So the next day, the Airbnb host comes to fix the lock, and very nice guy, great guy, I love that guy. And he was like, we're just making small talk, and he's like, you know who I guessed before you was? And he's like, Hannah Gadsby. She's the one. She got a stain on the couch.
Oh wow.
And she had a pen in her back pocket. And I was like, did he mention that just to mention that it was Hannah Gadsby and it's interesting, or because he heard us on the Ring camera be like, I told you didn't make that stain?
You'll never know.
I'll never know.
Spider-Man 2.
Our film today is Spider-Man 2, Sam Raimi's movie. Rusty, what did you think of this when it came out?
I have to say, I was never that big into like any of the Marvel movies, so it wasn't that memorable to me. I know you made an appearance in the first one. I do remember that.
Yes, that's true.
2, I get mixed up with 3. So when I rewatched it just recently, I was just like, oh shit, okay, that's this movie.
I mean, 2 is considered to be the best by far.
It's funny as years pass. Like when this movie came out, obviously the CGI is very dated looking, and at that time you kind of give it a pass. But rewatching this, 20 years later, almost 20 years later, it looks like ass.
Really? I thought it was.
You thought the CGI held up?
I think so. I mean, I never liked how Spider-Man looked. While
I think Doc Ock looks really like at times. I think like I don't even know what kind of art that is. It's not like video game CGI. It's just like the fluidity of the characters is just so bizarre.
Now, it's interesting you say that about the special effects, Rusty. I don't know if you saw that the special effects were done by John Dykstra.
I did see that. And I was just like, do I look this up? I forgot. I know the name. I can't think of what else he's done at the moment.
Well, I can give you an overview, and then I can blow your mind with a credit that you simply won't believe.
All right.
So John Dykstra got his start. And first of all, let me say, you said that this movie looked bad. His mission going into it was that the worst shot from this should look better than the best shot from the first movie. But John Dykstra got his start when Douglas Trumbull, is it Trumbull or Turnbull? DT, when old DT was looking for some help on Silent Running. Of course, remember Silent Running?
Yeah, I watched that not that long ago.
That was a very big role for John Dykstra because when George was making Star Wars, he came to Douglas Trumbull, I believe, or is it Turnbull? He came to DT. And crazy. DT said, unfortunately, I'm busy, but there's this young guy, John Dykstra, and you should work with him. And they did, but him and George had a falling out during the shooting because Lucas thought that John Dykstra was going too slow. And so he fired him after he came back from shooting in London. But, Dykstra still won the Academy Award for Best Visual Effects, and I bet George was thinking the whole time, that rat bastard. But it was all a prelude to John Dykstra's most impressive credit of all. And that is as the director of a game we like to call Sewer Shark for Sega CD.
That's fucked up. That's crazy because, I was randomly looking at Sega CD games and I looked up on eBay Sewer Shark and I almost bought it yesterday. And I was just like, what am I going to do with Sewer Shark?
I can't believe you don't already own it.
I'm shocked. I owned it originally in like 1991 or 2 whenever it came out. But that's crazy. Sewer Shark. Most people are like, what is that?
But let's get into the movie. And the crazy thing is, I think the worst looking shot in this movie, the fakest looking shot, is the very first in a movie of all these fantastical things. Wasn't the billboard of Kirsten Dunst, like, it didn't look real? Like,
yeah, it definitely looked weird the way they faded into like the billboard. The billboard always looked fake.
Yeah, which is such a weird thing to look fake.
Well, I think one of the coolest things in the movie is the opening credits.
Oh, tell me more.
Well, I'm sure you're familiar with the artist that produced a lot of the paintings for the opening credits, Alex Ross.
I didn't know that he did that.
Yeah, and the cool thing, I mean, Alex Ross has many famous paintings that he did, but I think one of the most famous is the Joker one with Harley Quinn. A lot of people know that one, but I didn't realize. I thought everybody kind of respected him, but there's people that do not appreciate the realism that he does in his work. I don't know
Really?
why. I don't know. I kind of like realism, so. But no, I found that interesting because most of his paintings he uses references for, but now you know what he does? He created his own toys from reference models, and he kind of buys kits and makes the characters out of them. And his first character was the Thing because it would always be drawn correctly with the coloring and the angles with the skin with the skin tone. I don't know why. I guess because he's pretty flat.
It is clobbering time.
It's also random. I know we're doing Spider-Man 2. You know the website Sporkle, right? The quiz website.
Yeah, it sounds vaguely familiar.
It's like your Duolingo, where like I have such a long streak going, I just have to play a quiz every day. It's just like built into my routine. So I
my
have
my
like a
my Duolingo, I had such a long streak, and now it's dead, and now I remember nothing.
yeah, I have like a 3-year long streak, so like I'm just going to keep going as long as I can. But I just did a Spider-Man villain quiz that just came up like a recommendation, and there's some characters I do not remember. Do you remember the Kangaroo?
No, but I like him.
I was just thinking, like, did Marvel run out of us ideas with some villains? Kangaroo, like, obviously, you probably remember like Scorpion and stuff, and like Shocker.
Yeah, of
The
course.
names are like He-Man names. It's just like, oh, we know what this guy's going to do.
And Rusty, these opening credits, they kind of retell the story of the first film, the death of
Yeah,
Uncle Ben. I've never liked Uncle Ben.
no, get rid of that guy. When Peter's telling the story to Aunt May about what really happened, I still could remember the scene in the first movie. So it's like, how did that scene look?
That scene when he's telling her and she's like staring at him like really angrily. I that was a challenging scene, but I guess we're gonna get to that.
Of course, the image of Macho Man. I was just like, that takes me back.
Oh yeah, oh my god. As I've probably said before, I was there for the shooting of that scene in the audience.
Yeah.
And on We Hate Movies, I don't know when they started doing this joke, but sometimes one of them will say, "Bone sauce ready," and it's like I have like a spasm in public if I hear that because I heard that a billion times that day. It was a real long experience.
Yeah. I got to get this question out of my head right now because I can't remember for the life of me, and I didn't look it up. How does Peter Parker get the Spider-Man, like the good Spider-Man costume?
The good Spider-Man costume.
Like the one that he's wearing currently. Like, how did he get that one?
Oh, I don't. Didn't he make it?
Well, I thought he made the makeshift, like, crappy one. Then he learned to make a good one. Is that?
I don't know.
I couldn't remember. All right, so it wasn't just me.
My thing is, I've always liked how he has the organic web shooters in this. Like,
Yeah.
I can believe a kid could be a Spider-Man, but I can't believe that a kid could also design like a fucking web shooting thing.
Yeah.
That's just insane.
well, this is coming from you, who could barely design a laser. Or I thought you could design a laser with light bulbs. So,
well, it was one light bulb and many magnifying glasses. But, and that Stan Lee, he even said Sam Raimi had it right. He said, if I could go back in time, I would have used organic web shooters.
I'm surprised you enjoyed this movie as much as it seems like you did.
Okay. I think I've always liked it a little less. Like everyone considers this, within the geek community of which I am the mayor. Actually, sadly, I'm not even a citizen.
No, you're not. You're booty.
Everyone thinks this is like, oh, this was the best comic book movie, and I mean, I think it's pretty good, but I have never felt it a love for it on the same level that I like X-Men 2 or something.
I couldn't get it when I went to give it my rating on Letterboxd. Like, it's like a 4. I'm just like, this is a 4-star movie out of 5. I mean, when you think of action movies, like you think of like Aliens and Terminator 2 and stuff, and it just is just so far from that.
I don't know. I thought that opening scene where he delivered the pizzas was pretty amazing.
The writing is just so weak, and like the things he does is so trivial. It's just, I don't know. That's why I hate the superhero movies. I mean, this movie is watchable. Don't get me wrong. Like, it's not a good movie, but it's watchable.
Wow,
if that makes sense.
That's going to make some people mad. And the writing process of this, they had a million different drafts right after the smash hit of the first one, and but it ended up being Sam Raimi and Alvin Sargent, who I think was 108 years old at the time, going through all the previous drafts and just picking out what they liked and rewriting it and kind of like getting all together. I remember there'd been like a Michael Chabon script as well, and I could just imagine Sam Raimi like a perpetually youthful kind of looking guy, and like this old bitter writer guy, and Sam Raimi's like, "Oh, hey, you ever meet Burt Lancaster?" He's like, "He's a bastard." He's like, "Oh, I hate to hear that. I'm such a big fan."
I looked up Alvin Sargent to see what else he's done. He won 2 Academy Awards for Julia and Ordinary People. Now, and Julia, he also wrote the screenplay for Paper Moon. What about Julia?
I was going to say, well, Paper Moon, that's a big achievement. Julia is one of those movies that was huge at the time that no one has ever watched in the last 30 years.
Oh, yeah, I know. You know, the thing is, though, imagine like you go from winning like 2 Oscars, and then like, you're like, oh, and like 40 years from now, I'll be, or like 30 years from now, I'll be writing a comic book movie.
I mean, he everyone should wish for that, because I think he wrote this literally when he was 90 or something.
Yeah, that's true. Still working. You know, I hit on my movie bucket list. I finally able to cross something off.
Go on.
Because I mentioned Ordinary People, which a minute ago. I finally watched all the Best Picture winners from the 80s with Driving Miss Daisy. I can't believe I watched that movie finally.
Wow.
But I did it.
And what did you think? I don't know if I saw the play, I remember, but I don't think I ever saw the movie.
I don't know. I felt like racist watching it. Do you know Esther Roll is also in this movie?
I don't even know who that is.
Oh, really? She was Florida Evans from Good Times.
Oh, okay. Good Times was one of the ones I never watched. Look, I watched a lot of black shows, but I watched the 80s ones.
Did you watch Amen like I did? I would like watch Amen religiously.
Wait, why are you saying Amen? It's Amen.
Amen.
Yeah.
What am I saying?
Amen. You said Amen.
I'm just saying it fast. It's just flowing off my tongue.
You heard him at home. Everyone else heard how weird that was. Now, let's get through this movie. We open up Spider-Man. You expect it to open up with a scene of him fighting the lizard or something. That's what would happen today. But here he's delivering pizzas for Asif Mandi. And he's got to deliver 8 pizzas in 8 minutes. We're former pizza guys. We know how impossible this is. And
this scene was offensive to me.
Really? Oh, it was offensive how he carries the pizzas.
Well, it's offensive that like it's a pizza place located 40-something blocks from the. There's a million pizza places in this city. Why would this business order from 140 blocks away and expect it there to be there in 29 minutes?
I can't believe it. Also, when he is inevitably late, although I don't want to skip over this whole opening chase where he's swinging around, because it was kind of a weird moment because he's got these 8 pizzas to deliver, and he's on his moped or whatever, Vespa, whatever it is. Then it gets hit. So then he's running with the pizzas, and it cuts to a guy who's watching him run with the pizzas, but he's watching him run like so interested. And I'm like, why'd they show that shot? Why is that guy even watching him? And then Spider-Man comes swinging out carrying the pizzas, and the guy goes, "Hey, he stole that guy's pizzas," which I thought was fucking. I don't know why I laughed really hard that line, but it was a weird sequence of events. But then Spider-Man's swinging through the sky, and I have to say, if you saw this, you'd be like, your first thought would be, "Wow, I can't believe I'm seeing Spider-Man in the wild," and your second thought would be, "I can't believe he's carrying pizzas that way."
Yeah. You know that the guy that you said he stole that guy's pizzas, that's the Donnell Rawlings, a comic. He also was on the Chappelle show. You
Oh,
know,
I did
that
not
guy
know.
was only 34 at the time. That guy like looks our age now.
There's going to be a lot of that throughout this film. Um, so he
Yeah.
arrives. He arrives late, and it's a play on the Domino's 30 minutes or less thing, which was a real promotion in the 80s. I don't know that. Did you ever try that?
Yeah, well, I mean, in 1993 they stopped doing it, so I don't know why any company in 2004 was doing it, but you know why they stopped doing it, right?
Why? Because people are speeding.
Because there was too many lawsuits because the drivers were rushing to get to locations and they were wind up killing people.
Wow.
So they had to drop that guarantee. Well, like you said, you're a pizza delivery guy. Did you ever have any people that tried to pull that on you? Like
I had people. I mean, I remember one time I was like unforgivably late, but this guy was he was on the top border of like the delivery zone. He shouldn't have been ordering from us.
Yeah, that's like what I'm saying about this movie.
Yeah.
They should not have been ordering.
And he gave me the whole speech where he's like, "I know it's not you," And during this time, as you know, we were like navigating with maps, but I basically didn't even use maps. I would kind of just memorize the map, like in the back of the pizza place, and be like, "Okay, that's where I gotta go."
I like when you say maps. You're not even talking about like MapQuest. You're talking about physical paper maps.
Yeah, I'm talking about from a fucking atlas.
Remember the Domino's Noid character? Didn't they?
Oh
did they
yeah,
bring him
of course.
back?
The Noid. Well, Domino's, I guess, had a lot of cursed promotions because I think they had to get rid of the Noid because wasn't there a guy who thought it was directed at him? He was crazy and
Kenneth Noid. He was he actually took hostages in like I think it's Chambly, Georgia location, Domino's location. And he made like some bizarre requests too. It's actually kind of funny. I wrote a couple of notes down about it.
Oh, tell me more then. Yeah, I do want to hear them.
So he went into a Domino's and took 2 employees hostage, and he demanded $100,000 from the Domino's headquarters in a white limousine as a getaway car.
Yeah, you want to be inconspicuous.
Yeah, of course. And he even got more bizarre with his request. In an offer to exchange a hostage, he actually requested a copy of the novel The Widow's Son by Robert Anton Wilson. I never heard of that.
Wait, Robert Anton Wilson. I feel like he also wrote The Keep, didn't he?
Did he really?
Like the Michael Mann movie.
We could look this up right now, but we have all this information at our fingertips, and we're just gonna be like, did he?
No, I'm looking it up as you talk.
Okay. So, but once once the police brought him the copy of the Widow's Son, he reneged on his offer. So eventually, he became hungry, and he forced his captive employees to make him pizzas. Which, as he was eating the pizzas, he left the gun on his lap, and the hostages escaped. So now he is surrounded by the police. He fired 2 shots during the incident. Both of them hit the ceiling. So this guy's a horrible shot. And then they apprehended him, and he was charged with kidnapping, aggravated assault, extortion, and possession of a firearm during a crime. He was found not guilty, though, by reason of insanity. Imagine that. He subsequently, spent time in a mental institution and then committed suicide in February of 1995. There you go, Kenneth Noid.
Wow. And what was the name of the author?
Robert Anton Wilson.
Okay, yeah. I can't believe it. Exactly like I thought. The Keep was written by F. Paul Wilson.
I'll give you credit for at least the last name, the surname.
Yeah, he looks like a nice guy.
But with Spider-Man, he seems to like stop a lot of petty crime, like a lot of misdemeanors that like the criminals would be out pretty much the next day. And meanwhile, he's causing like millions of dollars of damage in the city. Like, the people that have to clean up the city are like, fuck, more webs I have to clean up. Jesus Christ, this guy's...
Dude, who do you want to stop the muggings? Thor? Like, one hit from that hammer, your fucking cranium is shattered to pieces.
Yeah, well, what superhero would you be? What superpower are you going with?
You need at least flight. You got to be one of the ones who's got like a bunch of shit and also flight.
You know what? I guess he's a villain, right? Whose villain was he? But do you remember the character Madcap?
Barely, not really at all, actually.
He always intrigued me because he was so ridiculous looking, But I just looked him up. I don't know why I thought of Madcap when I was thinking of superhero characters or supervillains. But his powers are actually pretty good for somebody our age. He heals from any physical injury instantly. Imagine that for us. Like just getting out of bed could be a disaster. And then his other power, which would be really awesome, he has a specialized form of insanity inducement that immediately affects those he makes eye contact with. Imagine like all like the people that have like road rage on the road that you could just look at them, cause them insanity. There's like a litterer. That's what I'd be doing.
This is like this is a really random superhero to choose. This is like you could be any superhero and you choose like the 500th most important.
You've been generous.
Here's a kind of one more not meta, but one more thing about the cast and crew before we really get into it. Tobey Maguire, very strange guy. Was it just
in real
me,
life, or like?
Well, they say he's a huge dick in real life. Was it just me, or is his performance weird? Like it almost seems like he's a psychopath in real life. There's just certain moments where you look at his eyes. I don't think
he's a very good Spider-Man.
Yeah, and like for instance, like the first scene with Aunt May, the way he's looking at her is something so weird about it.
Yeah, he's definitely stacking a body somewhere.
I really think he is. And now there was a big kind of controversy about Tobey Maguire was injured during Seabiscuit, or I think maybe it aggravated an old back injury he had. And so he didn't think he was going to be able to do this movie.
Was Seabiscuit before this movie? I have no idea.
Yeah, Seabiscuit was in 2002. And so Jake Gyllenhaal was indeed cast to replace him. Now, what's interesting here is that Kirsten Dunst was dating Jake Gyllenhaal at the time, I believe. She definitely was dating him starting in 2002. I don't know if they were still dating. But anyway, so they've got a history. And then Tobey Maguire decided that he didn't want to lose the role. And he was dating the daughter of Ron Meyer, who was like a studio chief. I'm not sure if it was at Fox where they made this. Is that where they made this? Oh, Sony. But I'm not sure where it was. But basically, he had Ron Meyer step in for him and apply pressure so he didn't get recast. Now, this is an interesting drama behind the scenes with the female lead, probably hoping for her boyfriend, or if it's her ex-boyfriend by then, there's, a whole thing there. Okay. And Tobey Maguire angling from like, a nepotism angle. And maybe this will be a limited series that I'll make.
I feel like Tobey Maguire was like kind of old looking too, right?
Well,
Peter Parker.
That's one thing I'll give this. For whatever reason, I've always thought of Spider-Man as older. I feel like when I first started reading Spider-Man comics, he was like mid-20s. Maybe I'm imagining it. So whenever there'd be like retellings and it's like he's in high school, I was always like, what the hell is going on?
I don't know. I feel like when I think of like Peter Parker, like I think Tom Holland's like a good choice.
Oh, no, he is a great choice.
When I was a kid, I remember there was like an issue where somebody unmasked him. I can't remember the villain, but like Peter Parker kind of like roughed up his face beforehand. So like he was unrecognizable. And I remember thinking like, oh, Peter Parker, he's just so old. Cause I was like, 10 at the time. And now I would kill to be Peter Parker's age, mid-20s.
Well, this is another crazy story, but I randomly signed up for, believe it or not, an acting class purely for fun.
Yeah.
Purely for fun. The class is the Shakespearean monologue. So I got to pick my monologue tonight.
Oh.
But so the first class was last night. Now this was quite an experience.
I'm already laughing. Go on.
So the first thing she had us do, she's like, okay, everyone, like, let's, put the chairs, let's move the chairs away and just move around the room. Everyone just move around the room. And all these people just started moving around the room. And I was still looking at her for like more direction. I was like, move around the room, do what? And then she's like, oh my God. She's like, she's like, everyone add a motion, a repetitive motion that you just keep doing again and again. So like this one actress girl in front of me, she's doing like a conductor kind of thing like this. You can't see me, but
it.
She's doing this.
Like this? What's that? What are you doing over there?
Look, everyone was doing like very elaborate gestures.
Yeah.
And what I was doing, I wanted to
Dude,
send you a video of this because it was
is
so
there a video?
awkward
Because
and
that's
stiff.
so cringy.
No, no. I mean, I want to make a video to show you what my
Oh.
gesture was because we had to like invent a gesture. And my gesture
Oh,
was
jeez.
I took my right hand, touched my left pocket, and then touched the top of my head. I, like I'm patting myself on the head.
How many people are like that dude over there is clearly crazy? That guy
None of
is
these,
watch
dude.
out.
None of these people saw me. That's the great thing. All these actors are so self-involved. But I felt like I was in the '60s. Like the teacher eventually said, "Ed, stop looking at me for direction," because everyone else was like completely just like let themselves go, and I'm like tapping my pants, tapping my head. I'm like looking at this teacher, like, what else do I do?
How many people are in this class with you?
Like 12 or 14.
Okay. Is it like young aspiring actors, or is this like old people that just looking for something
There
to do
are
on a
multiple
Wednesday
types.
night?
The whole reason I thought of this was because there's like one kid who's like a kind of like a, egotistical Oscar Isaac type guy. And he mentioned
yeah.
just graduating from undergrad the year before. And I almost said, "Can I drink your blood?" That was my first reaction. I was like, "Whoa, don't say that. Don't say it to him." And also it won't work. So Rusty, we go to the Bugle. Peter loses his job. It's also very unrealistic that why does the receptionist at this company care if she pays for the pizzas or not? It's not her money.
Wait, you at the Bugle? Where are we? We're going backtracking back to the pizza delivery?
Man, if J. Jonah Jameson was real, I would have been banned from Reddit for saying I wanted to kill him a long time ago.
What's the context of that?
I don't know. Anyway, the point of this scene is to show that Peter's in deep doo-doo at the Bugle as well, even with this amazing Spider-Man photo. Elizabeth Banks, early performance from her.
Is that all that the Bugle has to offer? Is just Spider-Man photos? Like, I know it's keeping Peter afloat with his bills, but not really. But is there other articles they could go with? I mean, the city, there's a lot of news in the city.
All I know is it's like a picture of him dead on swinging between buildings. I'm like, who took this photo? Another Spider-Man?
Yeah, how's Peter Parker taking these photos of Spider-Man?
I guess he could have thrown the camera. Anyway, no time for that, Rusty, because he's late to class where he is confronted by Dr. Connors.
Well, right now with this, it's starting off that he's just kind of fucking up all around. He's getting fired, and slacking.
There's actually too many scenes of this where you're kind of like, this is a kind of beating a dead horse here.
You're kind of like, this guy's all right, this guy's just a loser. Like, you don't even feel bad for him at that point.
Now, Dylan Baker, who plays Dr. Connors here, famously, Sam Raimi wanted to do the Lizard. Do you think Dylan Baker's sitting around and he's like, yeah, I could have been the Lizard. That was the plan.
He was even missing the arm. He could have tried to regenerate that arm.
But Peter, he's disappointed here, and Peter says he wants to do a paper on Dr. Otto Octavius. And it kind of wins Dr. Connors back over because it turns out that him and Dr. Octavius, who will, of course, become Dr. Octopus, they know each other from back in the day.
Yeah.
Now, wouldn't it be weird if you became a supervillain and one of your friends from back in the day became a supervillain? Be like, wow, Larry, I can't believe I'm seeing you here in this context. Should we kill everyone in the bank or just get the money? So, Tobey Maguire, Peter Parker comes home.
Oh my God, this party.
This is a surprise party where Aunt May and James Franco and Kirsten Dunst are there.
Like they're in their 20s at this point. You'd think there would be more of a party than just three people and a grandmother in there. But isn't MJ like already dating that guy at this point?
Well, she tells him that at the end of their interaction. So basically, he talks to James Franco. There's just a lot of table setting in these opening scenes. He talks to James Franco, who's like, "Hey, I really hate Spider-Man. You would tell me if you knew who he was, right?" And Peter just like stares at him and he's like, "Ah." And then he has an interaction with Aunt May. Like I said, he looks like Ted Bundy. What were you going to say?
He does look like Ted Bundy. I feel like this whole movie is everybody knows he's Spider-Man, but they don't want to take a chance and say it and look stupid.
Oh yeah, even the guy in the Bugle. The black guy with like the whitish hair, he's dropping
he
his.
He has such a man crush on Spider-Man too. But it's just like everybody, like even the little kid helping Aunt May move, he's just like, he knew. Everybody knows.
Oh yeah, and so then Peter goes outside where he's surprised that MJ is there, and like I said in my outline here, there's a lot of scenes that only make sense if MJ is a smoker. It's like she's always like in places like alone, like looking off into the distance, and I'm like, what the fuck is she supposed to be doing in this scene?
She's 20. It's something an old person would do. Just like sit ponder where their life went wrong.
And so they have like
20s again.
They have a interaction where things almost get a little sensual for a second. Like, it seems like things could turn romantic again, but Peter bombs at the key moment.
You get your lotion out, and then you're like, no.
Oh yeah, I remember. I who knows if I told the story before, but I one time at John Foot's birth. Did I ever tell you this? Did I ever tell this story on here before? At one of John's,
I don't know. I said no. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know why I said no. At one of John's parties, I was talking to a girl, and she's like, "You're familiar to me for some reason." I knew why I was familiar is because I'd stayed at her sister's apartment during a period in which I had scabies.
There's always a twist with your stories.
And eventually she was like,
you just couldn't stay at the apartment. You have to have scabies. All right, go on.
She's like, wait a second, you're the scabies guy. And I was like, oh my God, no, but I don't have scabies anymore, And amazingly, I won her back over. We went for a walk. We were holding hands. We ended up on my, I was like, let's lay on my aunt's lawn, my Aunt Maureen. We lay it on the lawn. We go to make out, and I puked. I'm gonna say on her. Definitely, she got some on her, but it wasn't on her. But anyway, and it was a drunken night, so it was all kind of a blurry memory. And then at John's wedding, 2 years later or something, I was talking to someone, and she comes over and she's like, "Stay away from this guy. He might puke on you." And I was like, "Oh, I guess I did puke on her." And that's what I want to. That's my legacy.
I mean, you started off with scabies and you ended with puking on her.
Exactly. Yeah. They were like, this guy is pretty fucking gross.
Man, I feel like you put scabies on the map because nobody knew what scabies was. Now, what are scabies compared to lice? Are they kind of similar?
Yeah, they're like advanced lice. Lice are like NES and scabies are like Super NES.
Well, lice like hair. Where do scabies like? Just any part of the body? Any warm, moist part of the body?
The scabies, no, they're all over because they're on your arms, they're on your legs.
Oh my God! I guess you can't drown them in a bath or anything, right? You need a cream or probiotic.
Yeah. Now I'm feeling like I told this story before because
you never did because I don't know it.
Okay, you get this very thick cream that's it's like putting white paint on yourself, and you have to put it everywhere, including up your butthole, between your butt cheeks. And I just remember doing it in the basement of my house, 2003 Oakland Avenue, putting it all over myself. And you remember those old time there once was a bar there, but then it was gone. But there was the mirror with the designs in the mirror. I just remember looking at myself in the mirror, just all white, fucking. I was Arnold in Predator, but I was fighting a much smaller enemy.
You're looking at yourself as you're putting cream up your ass. Wow, super advanced lice. Oh, how long did it take for the cream to work? I hope quickly.
I don't really remember, but I just remember that when they were really bad was on our trip to Cleveland, and I was wearing a jacket the whole time because my arms were all fucking gross, but it was 100 degrees. So people I'd pass on the street would be like, "Why is that guy wearing a jacket?" Ooh. Yeah, Mary Jane says happy birthday and she leaves. And then on her way out, she's like, "I'm seeing somebody."
Yeah. She would have totally fooled around with him. She was so close to jerking him off. And then he's he's like Ted Bundy, like you said, just giving off such a creepy vibe that she's just "Oh, by the way, I'm seeing someone."
It would have been wild if there was a jerk off scene in this. The studio would be like, "Well, we have one big note."
You would have got more people in the seats with that?
Oh, I have to recommend one of my favorite books I've read in a long, long time. If I could only remember the title of it. It was about the making of Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark, the famously failed big, huge Broadway show.
Mm.
And it's just like a complete story. It's like a complete debacle. But so Julie Taymor, who is like totally the wrong choice for directing it, just very artsy. And but the book is written by the writer. And they tried to make it kind of erotic. And the notes back from Marvel were like, Spider-Man is not erotic. Spider-Man does not say fuck. And
is that?
I like the writer kind of like ridiculed like those notes. And I was like, actually, those were good notes. Spider-Man is not erotic and Spider-Man shouldn't say fuck.
Who are you thinking in the Marvel universe that's erotic?
Oh, tons of people. Wolverine, he'll fuck you all day long. You won't be walking straight for a long time after that.
Like your first thought was Wolverine.
Beast, I don't even know if you're going to survive. You might not survive Beast.
That's like the people that go to like the animal farms and fuck the horses. That's like you're lining up for Beast. Who are you going for? Because I don't think you're going with Wolverine. Your first name you threw out there.
Oh well, but also in my childhood, I had what I would call vaguely erotic posters of Rogue and Cloak and Dagger. I mean, obviously Dagger.
Cloak and Dagger, really?
Oh yeah. So I was always trying to make like the real B squad, more like D squad. Be like, I was like, I really want to be really into Excalibur, you know?
Yeah. I was pretty obvious with my. I went Psylocke. I always liked Psylocke.
Oh yeah.
You know who always made me like was this not my thing? Didn't do it for me. Dazzler. Something about her, like that 70s look.
Yeah, I never liked that look either, but I got to promote Dazzler because, as you know, I have the first appearance of Dazzler, and it's a graded 9.5. Oh, so I really need Taylor Swift or Lady Gaga to play Dazzler and elevate that character.
Mm. I would see more Taylor Swift than Lady Gaga, but you never know. Wait, but are your comics, since they're graded, they're in the plastic cases? Are they like on display? Or are they just like stacked somewhere?
Yeah, well, no, but I only have 2 of them.
Oh, I thought you had more. I thought you went on a buying.
I did go on a buying spree of 2. I got the first appearance of Dazzler, and I've got New Mutants #1.
That's all right.
Yeah, both pretty affordable.
I remember how earlier I mentioned where about the X-Men, the graded ones. I keep getting not recommendations, but where it's showing up on my feed on Instagram. I'm also getting the first appearance of Punisher in the Amazing Spider-Man issue. You know that famous cover where he's like sniping. And I remember one time at Busy Bee Mall they had that, and I was going to buy it. It was $60, and I had the money, and I wound up buying like a bunch of shitty comics instead because I thought like quantity over quality was a better thing. Mm-hmm. That would have been actually pretty cool to own. I think I bought like the lamest stuff too, like a Deathlock and shit like that.
Oh yeah, you're like, I'm gonna get three versions of Fathom #1.
No, that was before Fathom one. It was like, remember, was it X-Force that came out with all the different like trading cards?
Yeah,
in each one. So you would buy like the 7 of them. I had all those.
Hold on, there's a 9.2 ending in 11 minutes of that comic for $3,200. Should I become the highest bidder and shit myself?
on this episode? I would love that.
I just did. Okay. I can't win this. I can't win this.
How much time's left?
11 minutes.
You got to keep us posted.
I will.
I'll come back. You're not going to win it.
I'm getting destroyed in the stock market lately. Megan really loves the boom bust cycles that I live in. She's like, I always know. She's like, you're either like completely casual about $400 and you're like, who cares? It's $400. Or you're like, it's $400. I'm currently in a real bloody mess.
And how much did you just bid? This guy,
$3,500. That's for the Amex.
I don't think you're gonna win though. I would love it though for the content.
Dude, it's a 9.2.
Yeah, you're not gonna win.
Still currently in the lead.
There's nothing worse than when you put a bid in where you like, I want to drive this up, but I have no intention of winning, and then you actually wind up winning, and you're just like,
oh my god,
Do I not pay?
Yeah.
Do I not pay?
Yeah.
Am I one of
It's
those?
brutal. It's brutal.
I did that with what did I do that with? Was it the Technodrome? It might have been. But it might have been something else. And I was just like, oh, I don't even want this. No, it wasn't the Technodrome. This is not content now. Anyways, where are we at? Still talking about Spider-Man?
The one thing I ever bid on eBay and said I couldn't buy was those little crossbows that are like a pistol on it has like a bow at the end of it.
Did you buy the most random shit?
I was like, it was when I was in college, and it was only like $50, but I was like, I can't afford this, and I was like, oh, I'm at Berkeley. My friend thought it'd be funny to make fun of me to bid on some weapon. In truth, I've always wanted one of those crossbows, but maybe I'll get one now. Hopefully, I don't win this Spider-Man comic.
I just hope if you ever have a home intruder, you bring that out. You're like, who's there? I'm armed, and you have this little crossbow.
Like, all right, you're gonna have to stay very still, and if I miss you, please give me 3 minutes. But let's go on a little bit before we check back in on that Spider-Man comic, because he comes home, yet more stacking shit upon Peter, and his crazy landlord is like, I need the rent. First of all, how is Spider-Man not making rent? But what I wanted to talk about here was, did you see the other guy who doesn't have any lines in the scene, who's playing cards there? He was on The Sopranos.
I did see that.
Yeah,
in your notes.
Yes, he was Big Pussy's FBI contact. I think. It was
oh, yeah.
But you remember that phase I had of listening to Talking Sopranos?
No, this is news to me. Go on.
Yeah. Anyway, they've had like everyone on the show, and it's a very annoying show to listen to. But that guy was on, and it was a very hard to listen to interview, because at the end he's just like trying to promote something, but it's obviously like fake and bad. And he's like, yeah, we got a YouTube show now. We got over 5 billion subscribers. We got 5 billion views. It's globally number 3. It's number 3. Content media is number 3. And he really sounded like one of the kids we went to school with, like telling lies.
Yeah.
So it's kind of an awkward thing to be exposed to.
On that Talking Sopranos, did they ever have Johnny Cakes on?
Unfortunately, Johnny Cakes actually committed suicide.
Oh, really? Yeah. I love you, Johnny Cakes.
Yeah, so he was not available.
What a bummer.
He goes, into his apartment. He shares a restroom. That's my ultimate nightmare. I could live with being bumped down back to my old apartment, but as I will if I keep investing like this. But I could never share a bathroom. That's the worst.
Oh, I can't even shit in public, so I don't know how I would share a bathroom. That would be devastating for me. I would probably wind up shitting in a bag in my room, putting it somewhere out the window.
I remember in college in the dorms, I used to go to like the bathroom at like 2 a.m. to like jerk off, and I would be in the stall, and always at that time, this guy would come in who would like trim his beard like every night for like an hour, and I was like, does he know I'm here? Like I would even like vary the time that guy would always appear. So that's why I just started doing it between my bed and my desk, laying on the floor with my roommate, asleep, but probably awake. And to this day, he's probably like, they're like, Brian, tell him about your roommate. And he's like, oh my God, okay. I had the craziest roommate. He would jerk off. He thought he could drown it out by playing Tori Amos really loud.
They had to be such unpleasurable jerks, just for business.
Oh, yeah.
Just unclogging the pipes. Wait, when you were jerking off in the bathroom, did you like wear headphones and stuff? Or was this like when you were just looking at pictures or something?
I don't think they had headphones back then. I think this was pure, pure imagination.
You had one of those old Nickelodeon machines where you're cranking the wheel looking at porn.
I was looking at my phone. Yeah, it was a rotary phone. Yeah. I had a nudie picture duct taped to it.
I'm thinking like with smartphones. This is what, 20 something years ago?
Oh yeah. This is 1999. I'm thinking.
Oh my, yeah. So yeah. Yeah, I'm like, you're bringing your desktop computer in, dialing up.
Yeah, I just like to use the compact Pisario in the fucking bathroom stall.
Did you have anything, or you just went in there with your imagination?
No, I had nothing. And I remember the internet at that time. All you had, the best of the best. There was a website I think it was called
Pleasure
Pleasure
Zone?
Zone. Yes,
Yeah,
I think you
Pleasure
got me
Zone.
into it. But in terms of videos, there
Yeah.
was like
Nothing. There was like
no, there was
they were like
okay.
12 seconds, right?
Yeah, there was you couldn't even download anything. There's just one page you would go to that was like a rotating video, and like a rotating like 10 seconds of each like scene. And I kind of had like an awareness of, there's like 20 scenes, so I knew them all pretty well. So I'd be like, oh, I hope this one's on. But the best looking
I know what you're talking about.
the best looking woman was in a scene, no offense, with a little person. And I was like, can I get into like I have to ignore him. No offense to him. No offense to little people. But at that time in my life, I was not, I couldn't have, I had to focus on the woman.
I'm dying over here.
I'm still winning this comic. Oh my God.
This content. Oh my God. I got tears.
Normally, like if I wasn't feeling bad financially, I'd think it's a cool comic to own. I could probably sell it someday, but I'm sweating. I'm sweating. I got 4 minutes left.
I can't even look. I can't even see anything right now. I got.
I got 4 minutes.
Oh my!
I mean, really, all the action's in the last minute. So
that is true. Yeah, there's always like that last second person. That's usually me if I really want something.
Yeah.
Are we talking about this movie still? What's going on with Spider-Man 2?
Oh my God! Speaking of collectibles, Megan was talking about a ring, and I was like, okay. I was like, a ring is nice, but I just saw Freddy's glove from Nightmare on Elm Street. $100,000 is a lot.
The real glove, like
a real glove. But that was, still several days left of bidding.
If you ever won like one of those like crazy mega like lotto jackpots of like where it's like 1.3 billion, you walk away with like like 500 million.
Mm-hmm.
Like, are you just buying like ridiculous stuff with that? Or are you just like saving it for like your retirement? Like, I'm going to retire at 50, so I'll save all this money.
I mean, I would, first of all, let me just say, I would give a lot of it away to great left-wing causes. But of course, I'd buy crap. But, it probably would be depressing because I probably run out of shit to buy pretty quick. Not too quick, but, what else? I'm not going to buy like a yacht or anything like that. Not going to buy a plane or anything. I guess I'll just buy this Spider-Man, which unfortunately I'm going to own now. Because we got 2 minutes and 40 seconds left. He's still the highest bidder. Ooh, he's sweating. What's funny is, please check scans for condition.
Uh-oh. It's a 9.5, you said, right?
It's graded.
Yeah, what do you got to check for?
I also recently got a little into ancient coins.
The people that are like faithful listeners are like, who's this guy now? You're opening
I got 2, but one of them was fake.
No, you were so proud of it. Was it the brothel coin? That's got to be real.
No, that was the fake one.
Really?
Megan was like, "What did you get from Makaresh?" What can I say it? And I was like, "Oh, let me see it." And like, I opened it up, or she opened it up, and she's like, "Is this real?" And then I go to like ancient coins on Reddit, and it's like the joke is like, "Oh, when you're a noob and you buy something from Morocco, and it's made of like melted down like pots and pans." Like, because the material, I was like, what is this material? I was like, this feels weird. 1 minute left. Oh boy.
So wait, so they just melt down pans and then just stamp it with like, strike it with a thing? So it looks kind of.
Yeah. And it was kind of like stamped by a drunken guy because the stamp was like kind of off.
I would feel like that would make it more authentic because I know a lot of like those old like, Greek coins and stuff. They're always like off-center, the stamps. So how much did you pay for that fake coin? Do you want to say?
It was $100.
Oh, okay. That's not. I mean, you learned something. You learned a lesson.
Well, I didn't really because I'm about to win this thing in 30 seconds. 30
well, at least you know it's authenticated. At least you know it's legit. Are we just sitting here for 30 seconds before we continue with Spider-Man?
23 seconds left.
Oh my God, this guy's this guy.
I mean, usually you get a few bids at the end.
You're going to pull a Bud Dwyer with your little crossbow thing.
Oh, God, 8 seconds. I own this fucking. Oh my God. What a
You're gonna
financial
lose.
hit.
You're going to lose. You're going to lose. Please. I love when you're waiting to see if you won it or not. I think you're going to lose, though. It's got to be over by now.
It just says we're determining the winner. Please refresh the page. I won. Fuck.
Amex, bring it out. Megan's gonna be like, "What did you do? What is this?" It's probably the coolest piece you have, though, for sure. It's speechless over there.
I'm laying on the ground.
So there it is, Spider-Man 2. I think.
The thing is, I have so many better uses for $3,500.
Are you going to try to resell it, or are you just going to? Like in a couple weeks, you'll be like, maybe pay for the rest of your acting classes with it. Oh, is the girl the landlord's daughter? Is she in the first movie?
I don't know. I didn't really recognize her from anything.
I think she's in the third one, right? I'm pretty sure. I feel like I remember her from something else. I don't know.
I don't know what to tell you. Maybe you should have looked that up when I was writhing on the floor.
Are you going to tell Megan? All right. Harry visits Doc Ock, you wrote.
Yeah.
Harry visits Doc Ock?
He introduces Peter to Doc Ock. It's like an event.
Yeah.
Harry loves Doc Ock.
Harry loves Doc Ock or Peter loves Doc Ock?
I can't breathe.
Harry, that's the thing. Harry, he's like 20 years old and he's like a billionaire. He inherited this company.
It's also kind of awkward when, Doc Ock at first is kind of going to blow off Peter, and then
you pay the bills or whatever he said.
Harry's like, but like the look on his face is a real, you just want to knock that guy out.
Nothing against Alfred Molina, like he's a great actor and all, but isn't this the way they did his hair and stuff? Isn't it uncomfortable to look at throughout this film?
It is a bit painful, and as we've said in previous episodes, that is someone who I exchanged a line with in a film. So,
Alfred Molina. Was it Raiders of the Lost Ark?
Because he's in Paint It Black, and in my scene where I do a cameo.
Was he really?
Yeah. I have a line with him, but it's not in the movie. But I've already told this story, so I'm not going to tell it again. And I think I told it like one episode ago.
Oh, really? What was our last episode? I don't even remember.
I believe Cleopatra was a guest. Anyway, we see the guys bonding. They got the typical science talk, which is bullshit,
Yeah.
And,
what's annoying? Fusion. Why does it have to be fusion? Fusion.
Yeah.
Isn't that like a trope in a lot of movies?
Yeah, because it's like
they discovered
it's the thing that hasn't happened yet, I guess.
I looked it up how close we are to fusion, and the joke is that scientists always say we're 20 years away, and they've been saying that since like the 70s. So it just doesn't seem like it's going to happen anytime in our lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
But don't they say, isn't it speculated that if we do discover fusion where it actually works, that we would become a type 1 civilization?
What's type 1 mean?
Well, right now we're a type 0 civilization, which means we use the resources of our planet. But if we become a type 1, it's kind of using the powers of the sun. And then type 2 would be the powers or the energy of the galaxy. So if we become type 1, would mean like technology would just advance beyond like our imagination. It would be crazy. Like we would just be like so advanced. Take the next leap. We'd be able to like start to travel through space and everything.
We would have PlayStation 9.
Yes, exactly. Now you're thinking. You know what I hate though about Doc Ock?
What?
Is that like he's so hell bent on using his equipment to create fusion, and he's like, we could use this for the good of humanity, but like Harry's company would like whoever could do this first would be instantly like become trillionaires. And you think they're going to give away this like technology, this power for free to help mankind? No.
I need to come up with fusion technology, get myself out of this hole.
Well, I think there was like one of the schools in California that created fusion for like a second, right?
Yeah,
but they use more energy than what it created, so it's not technically fusion.
Oh yeah,
you got to create more energy than what you're putting into it.
Exactly, I know that lifestyle.
Yeah,
it's called my film career.
Don't be so hard on yourself. You have a Spider-Man number, whatever it is, with Punisher. Hey, you know what I love? What? You know what I love about movies that don't really research like the science that they're doing is that when Harry and Peter Parker walk into the room, like Doc Ock is sitting at a table, like looking through a microscope. That's like like that's what I would think of as a kid. Like, so there's a scientist looking at a microscope, and he doesn't even have a team. He has like one person helping him. Like, is technological discoveries is like usually a huge team. Researchers.
Here's what I'll say about that. We're currently with interest rates in a really bad place economically. Yeah. So all alternative assets are down. If I wait for a time when alternative assets are up, I can sell that comic for $8,000, $9,000. That's what I'll say about that.
Hey, you never know.
I'll sell my graded speeder bike. I've got a splinter that could be very good. That splinter is basically mint completely.
And splinter, the original splinter?
Yeah, I have a Turtles figure that's like in perfect condition.
I thought Turtles were like, I think the market's so oversaturated with Turtle stuff now because it's popular. Because my Turtles figures that are mint on card are worth like nothing right now.
Okay. This splinter is like a 10. And if they don't give it a 10, I'm coming there with my fucking crossbow, my mini crossbow.
Oh man!
Like today in Los Angeles, I don't know if you could call it a mass shooting. It was a weird guy. He didn't really hurt anybody. He did.
I don't know.
Do $5 of damage to the drywall.
I don't know why no one bothered to tackle him in between his rounds between the reloading times of 3 minutes.
But he was brutally shot to death by the LAPD. He leaves behind a Spider-Man comic, which he still is on his Amex card. Hey, but I'll get the miles. That's good.
Now, wait, I forgot to ask you. Wait, before we continue, did you get the ring for Megan yet, or she's like still picking it out?
She's picking it out.
So when you proposed, you just had nothing to offer?
Yeah, you have like completely spontaneous, but I believed in it.
That's how it's got to be.
But Megan she's found rings that are like $100 or maybe like $1,000, and then rings that are like $6,000. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is got to steer her towards the cheap ring to now pay for this comic.
Oh man, I don't even want to tell you what I paid for Jen's ring.
Oh. Yeah, see, at least,
but it did increase in value, so that actually went up. Think of my museum. What I could have had. Could have Eternia down there in the USS Flag.
I was going to say the USS Flag, and then USS Flag is good because you can use it to conquer a nation and extract some resources. It pays for itself.
I want to believe that's true.
Yeah.
All right. So where are we?
I don't know what I was about to say. In Cuba, they're like looking out in the binoculars. They're like, there's a U.S. aircraft carrier. It's like really far away. It's like, no, it's close. I think it's a toy, but it's very big.
Yeah, 7 feet. So Doc Ock and Peter Parker, they form quite the friendship that they can't stop talking about science.
Yeah,
carries over into their dinner.
They hang out with his wife. Peter should have been aware of how close Doc Ock and his wife were. He should have been like, Doc, your wife's gonna die soon. I could just tell. I've been through this kind of thing before.
I love that the wife comes to the table and she's just like, she's pretty much saying like, Peter, tell us about yourself. How's your sex life? Like from the room. She gets very personal very quickly is what I'm getting at.
Oh, yeah. But a quick bond, they establish a quick bond with the family. And Alfred Molina says, If you want to get a woman to fall in love with you, read her poetry.
No one's ever said that in the 21st century.
So Peter's laundry gets messed up. He's getting ready to go to the play, and there's a song playing. And believe it or not, it's the band Jet. Remember that band?
Oh God, I never liked them.
No, I always hated them. Even
I thought you were saying
the Guitar Hero song. I was like, oh, I feel gonna throw up.
Yeah. What was their big song? I don't even remember.
Is it "Are You Gonna Go My Way"? Wait, no, that's Jimi
Hendrix. Is it Jimi Hendrix or is it Lenny Kravitz?
I don't know.
I know the song. I can remember the video too. I also
Take
hated
Me Out. Take Me Out. Was that what it's called?
No, that was
Franz
Ferdinand.
I see.
That was Franz Ferdinand. It's something like "Are you going to be my girl" or something like that?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Look at this. Look at these old timers over here.
Play. They go to the play. I went to a play in Australia. We saw Death of the Salesman with Anthony LaPaglia.
Was he Willie Loman? Of course he was.
And it was actually great, but it started out rough.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because at first it was like Anthony LaPaglia has like a earpiece in his head. Put this thing in my head.
It's like Lobot up there.
And it really did seem like he was like didn't know the lines, and Willie Loman, he's kind of not with it, so you could kind of pause, but he wasn't like pausing in that way. He was pausing like he was on the telephone. And he was like, but then he really got in the groove. And the most shocking thing was I never knew he was Australian.
Look what you're bringing to the table now. Let's go back to your comic book.
We got to get through this movie somehow. We barely started.
I watched this movie 3 times over the course of when we planned on doing it. And we were barely discussing it. Come on. make my 6 hours.
Well, let's talk about a very important scene here. Doc Ock. Okay.
Yeah. No, go wait.
Look, I was trying to jump forward a little bit.
Oh, you're talking about plays, but how bad does MJ's play look? Could you sit through horrible.
That? I don't think so.
I know you could swing on the pretentious side of things with certain arts.
Yeah.
But this is unbearable looking.
Yeah, that does look unbearable. I could imagine making myself see that and then being like, why the fuck did I come here?
You know what I noticed do you know what I did pick up on the scene though with the play? That struck me as a bit odd, that everybody in the audience was like a 20-something. And we both been to plays. I've never seen an audience like that.
Oh yeah, that's it's regrettable because plays are a great art form and you want to see young people, but it's always just like the most elderly people of all time and like phones going off and people being like, why did he say that?
I still love the time Jen and I went to see the Book of Mormon, and there was a couple, like a family of 4 that were sitting in like front center, like 3 rows back, and it got a little too anti-religion for them that they stood up, they tore up their playbills, threw it up in the air, and like was making a scene, and then stormed out of there. And they're like, "We're getting our refund."
What did they think it was? Come on, it's such a famous musical.
I know. That's like when we went to see Summer of Sam, and the family brought their young kids to see it. They're like,
my God.
And they were offended by the gay sex scene.
Yeah. They stormed out with like a pair of like 4-year-olds. So I was like, and it was like a midnight screening.
It's like, what did you expect in Summer of Sam? None of it should make you want to bring your kid to that.
So let's just jump to the Doc Ock demonstration that goes wrong. This goes really wrong.
On? Where are we in our notes?
Yeah. His wife catches a lot of glass. I just feel bad, Rusty, for the person who was at this and also at the Ed 209 demo.
What's the Ed 209 demo?
In RoboCop, because that's another like.
Oh, demo. Okay. I thought
another tech demo that goes hard.
Oh, where the guy gets all shut up.
And even though like it must have been very hard to witness for those guys, that they were making jokes about it like the next week.
Yeah.
Like, hey, your presentation can't go as bad as Larry's. I still got some of his guts on my good shirt. Dan O'Herlihy from that scene? Dan O'Herlihy from Halloween 3, Season of the Witch?
Yeah.
Do you know his personal papers are held at the University College Dublin archives?
Did he look this up or did he know it?
This is actually, this is interesting. Did you know his son, Eric, was in Willow?
Yeah.
You knew that?
No, did he play Eric?
Yeah, he's the guy who was like, Mad Mardigan, I always thought I'd see you in a cage.
Oh, really? It really was the guy?
Yeah, that's his son. But his son is dead. His son is dead.
No.
Yes.
Oh, man.
But I'll tell you something about Dr. Octopus's, first of all, his origin. Because I was always bothered by how he looked as a child. I didn't like it.
The diaper?
The green outfit, the diaper, the mustard, accent colors.
His bowl haircut was always unpleasant to look at.
Stan Lee came up with the name Dr. Octopus and then worked backwards from there. But do you know that when they were making the film, they actually had rubber arms that were controlled by puppeteers that were then animated on top of. So there actually were real arms there, at least on the scenes where, he's controlling his arms, where the arms are like carrying him around. That was a different story.
You know what shocked me in this movie? The cameo by Hal Sparks.
Who the hell is Hal Sparks?
Hal Sparks is the guy in the elevator scene when like Peter kind of loses his powers on top of like the building, so he has to take the elevator down. And Hal Sparks gets in. Hal Sparks was like dated. Like when they put him in this movie in 2004, they knew like, oh, this is like such a throwback reference. Hal Sparks sees his appearances like, oh my God, I'm in this. I can't believe it. I'm in something. He was like big for like a year.
Wait, who is Hal Sparks?
He hosted one of the did he host Talk Soup or something? One of those shows. He was on the show, I think it was Cinemax, maybe the Queer as Folk show. He did like the I love the 80s, 90s, 2000s, 70s on VH1. He was like big for like a year. You never heard of Hal Sparks?
No.
Man, you must have really fucking shit your pants when you saw Joel McHale in the fucking
bank scene. I forgot. Oh, I couldn't believe that.
Some of these references, like Joel McHale, I can't get the read on him. I know he's like, that's his shtick to be like kind of douchey. But is he really douchey in real life or is he like?
Listen to this. I need you to hear this.
Yeah.
This is one of the most respected and trusted eBay sellers on the entire platform.
He's been brainwashed.
This is a great, virtuous individual who will be sending me the comic book that I did barely want, that I spent $3,000 on, as the economy falls apart around us. So back to the film, Rusty. I think we were where the claws are going crazy. This is Sam Raimi just going off, showing his those horror roots.
Yeah, I love the chaos in the doctor's room, in the surgical room.
Oh,
Doctors screaming for their lives, just running around. No blood, not an ounce of bloodshed. The Doc Ock works clean. He doesn't need to shed blood.
Man, I would love an excuse to just become a supervillain. I'm like, oh, it's in my brain. The arms are controlling me. It's like, we checked. He's actually completely fine mentally.
That's what I want to ask. I actually wrote this in my notes. Are the arms like sentient, or are they like, or is that a little bit of Doc Ock's like subconscious coming out?
Did you watch the film? Yes, the arms are sentient.
Do you say sentient or sentient? Sentient. What's the American way? What's the British way?
I say sentient, but
that's the UK way.
Dude, we're living in a crazy world because I'm hearing stuff mispronounced all the time.
I know. That's why I always wondering if I'm mispronouncing things. I am.
But he comes to and he's like,
did I do that?
Yeah, he's like that. Dude, I would have been like, okay, I've always wanted to drop a few bodies.
But he embraced it pretty quickly, He got outside. Was just like, yeah, this is me. Puts on sunglasses. This is the new me. You like it? Do you think like when he walked out of the hospital and he's just got like no shirt on, you think Alfred Molina's just like, Sam, my man, could have told me, could have given me a heads up about this. Could have gotten in shape a bit.
I'm sorry, what?
Oh, you thought he looked good?
I was just reading my note from the next scene because J. Jonah Jameson, he's wondering why Spider-Man doesn't get any picks. So he's going to send him to the charity ball in this next scene.
You're fired. Wait, you're hired.
J. Jonah Jameson mentions polo, And in the notes I wrote, here's the thing about Polo and nothing else. I can't imagine what I was going to say about Polo.
It almost took Tommy Lee Jones from us. Actually, was that just equestrian? I don't even know what it was.
I don't even know what you're talking
Dressage.
about.
Oh, you don't remember the Tommy Lee Jones incident where he was like paralyzed for a day? He got thrown from the horse in the same way that Christopher Reeves did. But I think it was like dressage, maybe. I don't know. It wasn't a question at polo. I don't know what I'm doing here. Did you ever hear what William Friedkin said about Tommy Lee Jones?
What do you say?
He loved him. The guy took his parts very seriously. He always wanted to bring something new to it. Always wanted to learn and evolve.
Yes.
And he said, Al Pacino, fuck that guy.
Al Pacino.
Did you ever randomly think of somebody that's like from our youth and you're just like, is that person still alive? And you look them up and you're like, there's no way they're still alive. I did that today and I was shocked that this person was still alive. Gene Shalit, 97, still alive.
Well, I'll shock you even more. Do you know who's still alive?
The one from this movie, Aunt May, is still alive.
Yes, Rosemary
Harris.
Harris. Yeah, I could not believe that she was still alive.
Nah.
I was like, what the fuck? I believe she's 96 years young.
Does she still act or is she long retired?
Hold on, let me ask her. Babe, do you still act? Let me out. Now, Doc Ock, after this incident, he's brooding. I've done this all over the world for no reason.
No reason.
His eyeliner. Okay.
This is what you're bringing. Eyeliner.
Yeah. That's when you're reading from the notes too directly.
What about his eyeliner though?
No, what I think I meant to say was his eye line when he's looking at these clouds, it isn't quite hitting right. They didn't get eye lines right for till just like last year, like when someone's looking at like a CGI thing. Remember early CGI? People would be looking the wrong way, or like Liam Neeson. Yeah. Like Liam Neeson was like, "I'm not making eye contact with Watto."
Well, when in the scene with Mary Jane and Peter Parker in the cafe. And when they hear the thudding of like Doc Ock approaching, she's looking everywhere except where like you would look. She's like looking at like the ceiling and like then looking, like Peter's looking where the sound's coming from and she's just all over the place.
Well, it's
very bizarre.
It's always the last place you look, isn't it? Doc Ock, he realizes his inhibitor chip is gone. Yeah, I went through something similar from 2005 to 2015.
I love that his inhibitor chip is like the most basic part you would get off of Amazon for like 5 cents. And he's just sitting it on his neck. Come on. You gotta bury that somewhere.
Now, who knew that now Doc Ock, he realizes he's got to do more science, but he needs cash.
He needs capital.
Like the revolutionary groups in the 60s and 70s, and actually skinhead groups as well in the 80s. There was the Order or whatever. A lot of times revolutionary groups, they rob banks to raise funds, and that is what he does next. Joel McHale, who knew that he'd be the most famous person?
I disagree with that. I disagree. He's famous, but if you're in a public place and you see Tobey Maguire or you see Joel McHale, who are you going to?
I'm going to Joel McHale because Tobey Maguire probably has like a knife. He's coming in to kill us all.
It's Ted Bundying you.
I'm like, Joel, help me out, man.
Help me put this package in my car. Joel McHale. I don't know. I think if I was standing in line next to him, I don't even think I would say anything. I'd be like, are you Joel McHale? Wouldn't really care. You know what the most perplexing thing about this whole scene is that Aunt May still has a mortgage that she was trying to refinance.
Yeah, I know. She bought that apartment for $1,200. I guess it's a house.
Yeah, it's in like Queens or somewhere, right? Brooklyn or Queens? Yeah. Where is it?
I think it's in Queens.
Yeah. She's in foreclosure. Like, isn't her when she got that mortgage, it was probably like what? $50 a month?
I mean, Spider-Man's inability to make money is crazy to me.
Oh, geez. I would make so much money with a superpower. Good or bad.
Good.
Making money.
I'd be like Omar from The Wire, just robbing drug dealers.
Oh, it'd be so easy. And it would be technically doing good. But anyways, in the scene,
yes,
they're rejected, and Doc Ock just happens to make his way in there, mosey on in.
Yes, he does.
He just brazenly walks up to the vault, cracks that thing open. Security they're not doing anything.
Well, actually, no, because there is a guard who is pathetically going to give his life to protect this insured cash. And even remember during the fight, Joel McHale picks up a gold coin and
Oh God.
Aunt May slaps his hand. Wow.
Yeah.
You wouldn't see this in a post 2008 movie. This was people still respected banks back then.
I know, it's such a weird thing.
Dude, what a fucking bootlicker, Aunt May.
Several times in this movie. It's just, give me a break. Does her honesty pay off? Whatever happens with her? She moves out. Where does she move to?
Well, I don't know, but she is still alive, so that's great.
I love though that like Peter Parker like runs off, leaves her behind, and she's just like fucking coward. That son of a bitch. But Spider-Man comes in. Never would have put that together.
Yeah, they have a battle.
Yeah.
And Doc Ock grabs Aunt May. He says, "Don't follow me."
Don't follow me. Yeah.
That's kind of weird. And what is he going to do with Aunt May when they're alone? He's like, what's it? Hey, what's your earliest memory? That's a conversation starter. Oh, the Depression.
What does Peter Parker do? He follows.
Yes.
And when he's Doc Ock makes his way up a building like King Kong. Yes. Classic move. And the most bizarre thing in this is when Aunt May gets launched. When Doc Ock drops her, Spider-Man saves her with his web, launches her up. Mm-hmm. And I would love to see a young, fit acrobat do this move where uses their cane to catch themselves onto a statue and then suspend themselves in the air for like 10 minutes. I'd love to see somebody do that.
Man, all I know is when Spider-Man and Doc Ock are falling off the building and the music drops out, that was revolutionary back then. That was the dawn. That was the dawn of the dramatic kill the music moment.
You must have been. Did you see this in theaters? You must have been going crazy.
Yeah, no, I was fist pumping so much I had to be removed.
Doing line dancing down the aisle.
Did I have I ever mentioned in 2003 I had briefly had a job at Universal and I had like a windbreaker for the Hulk, which was coming out. We've got a listener right now. I know he's listening. He's sweating right now because he knows what I'm going to say. And so
story. Another repeated head story.
Our friend Dan was like, "Oh, what if I wear the windbreaker?" And it said like Incredible Hulk, like on the like where your heart is, basically, and just point to that when I get to the ticket taker. And we went to the Sony theaters in Levittown. And Dan got to the front of the line and like pointed to the windbreaker. And the guy just like looked at him blankly, like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Oh, sorry, Hulk, one for Hulk." Now, when Spider-Man, he ultimately rescues Aunt May and he's swinging away.
Yeah.
Carried her like a bunch of pizzas. There's no way this old bag would survive that.
2 fatalities under his belt.
Yeah, that's should have been,
Would the audience have cared if Aunt May died then and there? Would they have been like shocked, or would they have been like, "Yeah, saw it coming"?
Yeah.
How would you have reacted?
I mean,
I feel like Aunt May's time in this, by this point, it's like you didn't really need her anymore. We had the whole Mary Jane thing. We had we're finally introduced to the astronaut himself, John Jameson.
John Jameson.
He's the first man to doing what?
Is this a character? His first man to play football on the moon. Now, is this a character that becomes a villain or something?
I don't know. I didn't look it up, which it should have been the initial thing. One of us did, but I feel like he probably does, right?
He must. It seemed like they were setting him up for something, because otherwise, why wouldn't you just make Harry the boyfriend? Seems like you could make things a little cleaner. Well, then, so he sees, Peter sees this. He's all disturbed. He goes outside. It's another moment where MJ needs to be smoking for this to make sense, because she's just looking off into the distance. And he comes up to her.
That's like her direction in every scene she's in. It's like, what am I doing in this scene? Just staring off. Like, you should be smoking, but we're not going to go that way.
He comes up to her and he says, "I've been reading poetry lately." And in the kind of creepy way that I might have said something similar to that girl that worked at Toys R Us. MJ is upset that everyone's seen her play, but not Peter, because he, in her words, can't make an 8 o'clocker. Very strange phrase, 8 o'clocker.
Should Peter have lied and come up with like a pretty like solid excuse? Maybe that was the moment. That's what she was looking for. So clear.
You could have just said it was great. We've all pulled that one.
How old is John Jameson, by the way? Is he like 20? Everybody seems like they're 20 in this movie.
Yeah, I think he is 20.
Am I looking at this through 45-year-old eyes where I just think anybody like in their 30s is in their 20s?
Well, I think Kirsten Dunst is currently 42. So.
Oh, okay. So, yeah. So it's.
She was 24, 23.
Yeah. I just want to point out, I looked this up. The youngest astronaut to visit the moon was Charles Duke at the age of 36. So I'm assuming that it takes years and years of training. So how would this guy make it to the moon at the age of 22, 24, whatever he is? He's like fresh out of college. He's playing football in college and then goes to the moon and does the, victory celebration.
All right, give me an hour. I'm going to go dig up Alvin Sargent and ask him.
You could just call Sam Raimi.
So MJ is getting married. At this point, I would just be like, hey, I'm Spider-Man, motherfuckers. Just start wasting the people around me.
Yeah, he plays it off too, that it hurts him. It's like, yeah. She has to know. I mean, anybody would pick that up.
I mean, I'll say it hurts him because he loses his powers here.
Yeah. That happens in a few things.
Oh, yeah. Movies. It's kind of the inevitable thing you have to do in a superhero story. It's like and you always have to go to that well.
Yeah. Got to get them back. You got to find them. Doesn't it happen in one of the Supermans? I'm trying to remember. Is this where, no, where's the moment where Harry slaps him a few times? Is that coming up? Or is that this moment? I don't remember. It is the ball, right? Harry's there and he's kind of drunk.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
He like goes, Peter goes back into the ball and Harry's just like, I hate Spider-Man. He's like, that's all he could think about. Imagine having like $1 billion and you're just obsessed with like, well, I guess somebody that you think killed your father.
You could have a ball pit room. A room that's a ball pit.
You could have a life-size Star Wars diorama in your backyard.
Oh my God. You could play chess with it. Roll them around on wheels.
Oh, I would try to develop like a real Star Wars thing, like an AT-AT. go to my grocery store to AT-AT.
So everything is going bad for Peter here. He's lost his powers. Doc Ock's getting stronger. Peter Parker, he goes to the doctor. And even this doctor catches on that he's Spider-Man.
Oh, I know. Well, the way he phrases, anybody with a sound mind would never pose a question like that.
Yeah, because how does he do it? He says that he had a dream about being Spider-Man.
Yeah. And then he said a friend, and then he said, he makes it obvious that it's himself.
Yeah, you have to imagine in a world of superheroes, there would be a lot of stolen valor.
Oh my God. And you're one of the first in line.
Oh my God. My comments on the New York Times would be like, as Mr. Fantastic, I have a unique perspective. But like the liar kids from our high school, they'd heavily imply that they were Moon Knight. Like, yeah, I think I know what he's going to be up to later. Don't ask me how I know.
Yeah, in this world with Spider-Man exists, you would see so many like knockoff Spider-Mans in costume that just wound up getting like shot or killed or whatever, but they would try for the heroics. I would love to see you because you fly around a lot. You would be at the airport in your Spider-Man costume. Somebody would approach you with a camera and be like, ask you questions.
Well, you like have to be subtle about it. Like you have the Spider-Man costume and you accidentally drop it out of your bag, but then you're like, no one notices. You're like, I gotta do it again, and then someone's like, why did that guy just do that twice? Rusty, now we have a very weird scene here because he finds himself in a white void with Uncle Ben. These white voids, they were invented in the late 90s and people loved them back then. I guess people still do love them.
Yeah, I mean, they continued. Harry Potter had them and stuff in the 2000s, so
yeah,
they're still around.
I mean, I've worked on plenty of music videos and commercial things that have had the,
Have you ever had a moment or a dream like that? I never.
White void, never.
I mean, what's that? What's the point of that to show the viewer? Like, is that just that it's a dream? It's that I don't know. Like, I guess there's no other way to show it, right? Because you can't just have him like talking to himself about it. It wouldn't really work.
Yeah, it's a stylized space, and Uncle Ben, he's in his beloved mobile.
Now this is Peter Parker's like fantasy of this. So like he's picturing the beloved mobile
because he was killed in that car, right? So it's like If you get killed in a car, you're in it forever.
No, I just love that we both said mobile, so people are going to think we're weirdos.
Anyway, yeah. So, Ben is like, dude, you got to believe in yourself. You got to be Spider-Man. And he says no. Now imagine saying no to a ghost. You can't do that.
Well, we need it for the dramatic effect, but yeah.
Unless it's like Adam Lance's ghost, then you could say no to that. Oh, no. He's going to edit that one out.
It's pretty tame.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it is morally correct to say no to that ghost. So
right now, wow, what's his name is loving it right now.
Who?
I can't wait. Hold on, I can't think of his name. Alex Jones. Okay. Right now, Alex Jones is loving that joke. Woo!
He's like, he never existed. How would he have a ghost? I just gave myself an aneurysm. I gave myself an aneurysm trying to make an Alex Jones face. But so Spider-Man now he's at peace with quitting being Spider-Man.
Yeah, I mean it's a little lame though. He like the way he discards his costume.
A little lame. This scene is really cringe in general.
If you were sincere about that, you would have burned that costume. Not gingerly place it on top of the garbage.
I at least would have put it all the way in the can. My God. I mean, I know they're going for the visual. And the song Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head. I think that was the last time anyone heard that song starts playing.
I do like that song because it was at Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. But go on.
And Toby's got a really aggressive arm swing going here.
Yeah, I mean, that walk he has, he's definitely psychotic.
When this montage ends, it ends on a freeze frame of him looking really dorky. I don't know how we're supposed to read this moment, you know?
Why does it freeze frame and not go to a next scene? It continues for like a few seconds.
Oh, I didn't remember that. It does?
Yeah, so he's like walking and he's all, proud that he's living a normal life, and it like freeze frames and then it continues. It's like, well, what was the point of that?
I did not remember that.
How many times did you watch this movie?
Only 14. So he goes to the play finally to see MJ in her play, and she notices him.
Yeah.
That's you hate to have that experience when someone's in a play and then they see you in the audience and they're like, oh, this guy's here.
She loses her place.
They go for a walk after. She says, there's something different about you. And he's like, yeah, I quit the most interesting thing about me. By far the most interesting thing about me.
Yeah. Now he's like, I'm doing my homework now. Can you believe that?
It's a very painful scene where he kind of begs her to go back out with him. And he says a very strange line, punch me, I bleed. Very weird line. What if she punched him in the stomach? What then?
Internal bleeding.
We're at the Daily Bugle. J. Jonah Jameson, he sees the photo of the Spider-Man costume thrown out in the very cinematic pose. And the headline, Spider-Man No More. Someone starts playing the old Spider-Man theme song. Now, this is one of those things where we were just a little too young, which is the last time I could say that, to know the Spider-Man, like the Spider-Man, like I barely ever saw that show. There's a lot of things like, the kids of today, they don't know about growing pains. They don't know about family ties.
There was a lot of comic book shows. I'm just like, oh shit, that existed.
You mean like there's like a kind of a mini comic book boom in like the late 70s.
Yeah. But they were so like crudely drawn.
Oh, yeah.
Like that nobody could bear watch us. Yeah.
The animated shows, you mean? Like with like the Wonder Twins and shit?
Oh, yeah. But there was also like, wasn't there like a Fantastic Four one as well? Because I remember seeing like a horrible looking thing.
I don't remember. I just remember being a little kid into comics in the pre-internet era. It was like sometimes like you'd catch an image of the old Spider-Man show and you'd be like, oh my God, I have to find that someday.
Yeah. Did you ever watch like the Justice League one?
No, I've never been into DC. I've always had a bad association with it.
Where did they touch you?
I had to force myself to even tolerate the Nolan Batman movies.
Really?
Even though Heath Ledger's Joker is one of my role models.
I don't know if we ever talked about it. Do you like the Heath Ledger Joker better than Jack Nicholson?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Where do you put what's his name? Joaquin Phoenix in the mix?
I didn't see the whole movie. I was enjoying it more than I thought I was going to.
Yeah.
It was a screener, awards screener,
Mm.
and then with like 40 minutes or so left, it broke, like the DVD, and so I read the Wikipedia summary.
Yeah.
But I like the Suicide Squad. That's a pretty fun movie.
Did you really? No, you didn't.
No, there's a good one and there's a bad one. The good one's the one I liked.
Oh, okay.
The James Gunn one.
Yeah. Do you know the girl that's doing the Spider-Man song in this, the violinist?
Who is it?
Her real name is Elise Din.
Mm-hmm.
She has a lot of credits. She's also a violinist, which I think in some of her photos, she's playing the violin in other works, but she does have a credit that I find very fascinating. Let's see if you remember this. She was a voice in the video game for PlayStation, Fear Effect.
No, I never played that.
But you remember I love that game? Because it was like a comic book kind of thing?
I don't remember that at all.
I still have it. That's like one of the PlayStation games I kept because I just always wanted to replay it, but it's, those early PlayStation games are pretty impossible, some of them. What happened
Not to me.
Oh. What were you doing? Do you have any are you looking at Reddit right now?
No, not at all. So Peter, I couldn't believe it. He walks past a crime being committed. He turns his back. I would never do that.
Scum. You know what I'm wondering though? You know how back to the Bugle for a second?
Mm-hmm.
J. Jonah Jameson has the costume, right? Wouldn't you have that analyzed for some fibers? Like, wouldn't that be a huge story if you could like find some hair fibers or something or skin cells and do a DNA test on it, trace it back to Peter Parker? That would be a huge headline. Out him.
I mean, but who knows who's been rooting around in that trash? It's like, it ends up being like that guy who always played Bums, who was on that Alf episode. And he was also in Batman. He's like, yeah, okay, I'm Spider-Man. And it's like, Spider-Man discovered.
I was actually watching a movie with that guy. I know who you're talking about. And he was in a role and he was normal. And it's like, wow, this is like a normal role for him. He was also like 20 years younger. And I was just like, oh, he didn't always play Bums.
Anyway, we go to the grave and Aunt May thinks it was all her fault. And it's always tragic when anyone dies, but they were pretty elderly,
Yeah. I mean, sad, but not shocking.
Yeah. Except in the next scene, Peter, he tells Aunt May the truth about what happened that day. And I actually thought that she was going to be kind of understanding.
Yeah.
But she's pissed. And then after that, there's a scene where Doc Ock, he goes to see Harry because he needs more tritium. And Harry calls him a hack, which is kind of a weird choice. But they agree to help. They agree to help each other.
Wow, it was kind of forced into that situation because Doc Ock was going to let him go if he didn't give him the tritium.
That's true.
He dangled. Tritium is actually real.
Really?
Yeah, it's what is it called? It's a radioactive material. I don't know what I'm saying. It's a radioactive material that has a pretty quick half-life. It is rare though, but I think there's probably more than 25 pounds, as they say in this movie. Maybe then. I'm sure you could order some from China, get some tritium, but
China, if you're listening, I need some fuel for my robotic arms.
How much time has passed though from Peter Parker giving up? I mean, Peter Parker giving up Spider-Man to where we are now. Like, is it months, weeks, days?
There's no way of knowing.
What do you want me to say? I don't know. We had that montage, so I'm thinking like months went by.
Nah, I think it's like a couple weeks.
I feel like their clothing's changed though. In some scenes they're wearing like jackets, in other scenes they're wearing like short sleeves. Cool. But then again, you were wearing a jacket. What did you say before?
Yeah, when I had scabies.
Yeah, when you had scabies. How's Doc? But I mean, Doc Ock's like a freak right now. He has 4 extra limbs. How's he getting basic supplies? Is he getting food delivered to that like broken down pier place?
I mean, this is before the app delivery service.
Yeah, so
he must have just been calling pizza places and Chinese places, really.
I know, but there's no discreet way you could hide those like 4 gigantic robotic limbs.
Well, I
So it's
think
not like he's just walking into the grocery store.
doesn't he suck one in at one point, and it seems like he's got the ability to kind of suck them in. I don't know where they go.
Yeah. If it's you, they're all up your butt.
Anyway, there's a fire. You know, Peter's checking out the latest insulting headlines about Spider-Man when he sees that a building is engulfed in flames and he runs inside to save a little girl. We've all been there.
Have we? He almost dies. You know what's amazing though? They're in there for way too long. You know they would have been dead, or at least a little girl from like smoke inhalation. How did you read Peter Parker's face when the other fighter says to him, "Yeah, but some poor bastard died on the 4th floor"? Like, was he upset? Was he like,
He knew that if he had gotten there quicker, he could have saved them both.
Oh, so you said he knew, but he went for the girl?
No, because he doesn't have his Spider-Man power still.
He doesn't even have the spider sense anymore? He can't, like, I guess he couldn't sense, right? That there was another person in there? He was just going based on what, I guess the pedestrians were telling him, right?
I'm shrugging. I don't know.
I'm going to
can't ask questions. Don't ask questions that are not interesting or have answers.
Well, I like to watch a movie and know what's going on and, beneath the surface. I need to know the minute details as well.
Well, I'll tell you what.
Tell me.
The gawky manager's daughter.
I love your transition. Go.
Brings him cake. She likes him. And not that it matters. You can see in this scene that the actress is prettier in real life than they are portraying her here.
I knew I was watching this. I'm just like, I bet you Ed thinks this girl's attractive. She seems like a type that would be annoying.
Hey, who can say?
And this is a weird scene though, because obviously she's into him, right?
Yeah, of course.
And they're having cake, and but there's no like dialogue between them, so we don't know if there's any flirting, or if she's maybe like, oh, this guy's kind of is a loser. Because then she just leaves, and that's the end of her, right?
Well, she didn't die, but yeah,
no, but end of her in this movie.
Yeah, I think that's her last appearance.
We both don't know if she appears in the third one. We never looked that up. But she's kind of creepy because she just like walks into his apartment and she's like, "Oh, you're home? Sorry."
Yeah.
So that means she's probably like rummaged around his apartment before, and he was just hanging that Spider-Man costume in his closet. So maybe she found it and was just like, was intrigued by it. Maybe she wanted to discover the truth, or maybe she's like, well, this guy is a cosplay loser.
Well, that's a very interesting fan theory because she is inexplicably drawn to him. Mm. So maybe she already knows he's Spider-Man.
Ah, wait. So it's a fan theory you're just coming up with now, then?
Aunt May is moving. No, yeah, that's. I was saying you came up with the fan theory. Peter shows up when Aunt May is moving out. And did you see Rusty in this scene? She's being helped by a child who she identifies as 9 years old. He would be 28 now.
Oh my God. I would love to be either of those ages right now.
We are as far from this movie as we were from 1985 at the time of its release. Do you know that Return of the King is closer to the release of The Goonies than it is to us today?
That's crazy. Did you see Goonies in theaters?
No, I never did.
Oh, really? I thought that would be a movie you did. Okay.
Inexplicably, that one passed me by. That was actually kind of a later childhood movie for me. Like a lot of kids were into it, and I had never seen it.
And you had the poster on the wall, you poser.
Well, I'd seen it by that point.
I know. That artist that does the poster art has done a million things. He's a phenomenal artist.
Oh, yeah.
The art is the one where they're all hanging on to like the piece of the cliff. And
yeah. Is that
what they're holding
Drew
each other's like
Struzan or whatever his name is?
I don't know. I watched a documentary about him like 15 years ago. It was really good. It's funny for like, because he uses all references. So for that scene, he had like people hang out his bedroom window, like his kids.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, like you said. All right, but anyways, what else were you saying? So you have I see you have a Ronald Reagan saw this film. What?
Yes, Ronald Reagan saw this film. I don't know what that note means.
What year did Ronald Reagan die? I feel like he died in like 2000. He made it into the.
Hold on, we're gonna find out. This is everyone's on the edge of their seat right now.
Yeah.
You are not connected to the internet. Oh, that's interesting.
Well, I'll look it up then.
No, you will not. 2000. Oh my God! Ronald Reagan saw this film.
Well, he had severe like dementia at that point. Are you sure about that? Are you sure about that?
I mean, well, he was the only person who didn't know he was Spider-Man.
What's your thing about Salvador Dali? I'm looking at your notes.
I have no fucking clue. All I know is we're in this scene. Aunt May makes her suspicions plain. You know, in today's day and age, she would just look at his phone and she'd be like, I looked at your phone, Peter. I saw you texting the Green Goblin. Fuck you.
I would love to see that.
I know. So he tries to jump. He wants to get his powers back.
Yeah.
He tries to leap between the buildings. I'm back, he screams.
Mm-hmm.
But then he lands hard, becomes my back.
Now
that's a moment.
Actually, yeah.
That's a moment we could all relate to.
That actually made me chuckle because, yeah, even though he's like impervious to damage, you know, his powers are gone. He's just one of us.
Also, very, you know, he really real leap of faith there.
I do like the way he says "my back" too.
How did he say it?
He's just like "my back," like it's a surprise to him. All right,
so now MJ, they're doing the wedding invitations. I'll be doing that soon. And she says they're not going to invite Peter.
Wait, you have a date picked out already? You know, now that you're engaged, are you at the point? You'll probably say this was one thing. Are you at the point where you're comfortable like pooping in front of Megan?
Oh yeah.
I don't think I could ever do that in front of anybody.
I mean, just the other day she was pooping and I was like ranting about something in the bathroom, and she's like, "Can you do this rant later?"
So you're definitely farting in front of her, right? Oh yeah, I've seen you fart in front of her.
That's an insane thing to say. I fart like it's my job.
How long? Because you know we're this pretty much the same age. How long does it take for you to get comfortable in a relationship to do that?
It's actually too quick. I have had some relationships where I got comfortable too soon.
I commend you for that, though. I wish I had that.
You got to stay cool a little longer before you turn into a cringe machine.
Wait, what other cringe you got going on?
Wow,
just that
was all day long, dude. You do little dances, you sing little songs.
Yeah.
So she says not going to invite Peter, and she says, "Wait a second." She's had a great idea. She tries to simulate the upside down kiss. It hits for him, but not for her.
No, which creates an awkward scene because he's left wondering what the hell's going on with my fiance.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I have to commend this guy as well for his confidence, where he's just like, don't you want to invite your friend Peter Parker? Like, either he's clueless or he's less like doesn't care. Like, they have history. Would you let Megan invite some exes to your wedding?
Yeah, I don't give a fuck.
Oh, well, all right. So you got the confidence as well.
But I expect to get paid. So they go to the cafe, and finally, I believe, is this where he tells her that he is Spider-Man? Or is he about to tell her that he's Spider-Man?
I think he's about to. Well, she wants to kiss him because she wants to create that kiss they had when he was upside down. So I think it's obvious that she knows, and he's kind of like, ugh.
Yeah.
I love the way she's like leaning in for the kiss for like 10 seconds, like closing her eyes, like coming in, just like, is it going to happen? Here's the moment. And then the thud.
At the key moment, Doc Ock attacks. And I love how that wheel comes so close to his face. Exciting moment. Doc Ock kidnaps Mary Jane, and he wants to meet Peter, Spider-Man, at 3:00, much like the film 3:00 High.
Yeah. Oof.
And it's almost as if he's got the brass knuckles, Rusty, because his powers return.
Well, do they return? Well, they don't return until Mary Jane is taken. But right before that, which I find humorous, is that he wants Peter Parker to bring him Spider-Man at 3:00, but he like chucks Peter Parker, not knowing that he's Spider-Man, but he chucks him into like a brick wall. That would kill a normal person.
Yeah, it's funny because I think on We Hate Movies they've been saying this recently.
Oh, really?
There's so much throwing people into walls in movies that like would kill you.
Yeah, or at least has some severe brain bleed that he might potentially die from. The most offensive thing is just the CGI with Doc Ock carrying Mary Jane away from there up the wall.
Mm-hmm.
The way she's like dangling about, it's just, it looks worse than like the way the clay did in Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom in the minecart scene.
Okay, all right, very specific reference, the clay. And then now we have a fun scene at the Bugle because J. Jonah Jameson he's missing Spider-Man, but once Spider-Man's back, he's like, "Damn it, he's a menace."
Yeah, that's pretty good. How does Spider-Man know his costume's there though? Has he been working? I don't know. I know you're gonna say I don't know. I'm just asking questions.
Yeah, I don't know.
I love asking questions. I love the guy that's so like once the costume is like missing, you know, the black guy that's like the biggest fan.
Yeah, he's like, yes.
Yeah, he's so excited.
Now we have the clock tower battle. It's a fun scene. Spider-Man swinging, then it becomes the reflection in Doc Ock's goggles.
Mm-hmm. You love it. You're a fan.
I am a fan.
That was a good scene. We got the subway train scene, which is famous.
Yeah, the elevated subway train. Don't ask me where this is because I don't know. But then I looked it up and it's actually Chicago. I thought there was an elevated train I didn't know about in New York.
Yeah, did they convert the elevated train into like that?
The High Line?
Yeah, the High Line.
I mean, I'll tell you one thing. Spider-Man loves fringe transit lines because, as you might recall, his big battle on the cable car connecting Roosevelt Island in the first film. Yeah, so then, you know, the train gets out of control. Doc Ock escapes. Spider-Man's trying to stop the train. I wanted someone to yell, "Yo, Spider-Man, use your superpowers!" because it didn't seem like he was gonna. But then he webs it all up. But he gets knocked out. And now this is kind of a corny moment where they pass his body back with almost like a religious reference.
It's comical how stupid that is.
And someone goes, "He's just a kid." Someone should have been like, he's like 40 actually.
Yeah. You know, it's funny though when Peter Parker or when Spider-Man tries to stop this train and he's like shoots the webs and it doesn't work the first time, and the conductor guy's just like, "Any more bright ideas?" If they made it through that, Spider-Man should be like, "Fuck this guy," and murder that guy for like try to like belittle him for helping. You know, you think about that for years. You like wake up when you are 40 years old and you'd be like, that guy told me any more bright ideas and I was doing my best. You know, like, you know, it's when his mask is off and he's just like coming to, and the kids are like, "Don't worry, Spider-Man, your secret's safe with us." Like nowadays with phones, people would just be recording like that, shoving phones in his lifeless body. Spider-Man 2.